Magic Mars is our next guest. Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. It's not the first time you're doing an interview in English, is it?
Not the first time, no.
We've made it.
Jesus, finally.
We've been wanting to do this for quite a while. And I don't know if you remember, but last time I kind of canceled the meeting.
I thought you got annoyed.
No.
I literally thought, okay, this youngster is getting annoyed. I'm just gonna leave him be. And so when you came back to me, I was like, all right, mate.
I canceled the meeting last minute. And I thought you'd be pissed, but you're not. You seem to be happy, which is a good sign. It's always good to have a guest who's happy. You look happy.
I like fresh blood, and you're the one.
Storyteller.
Yeah.
I always look for one word, one expression that describes somebody. And I think this word fits you pretty well. At the beginning, I was looking for like direct words. So I had actress and I said an actress. But that's kind of limiting. You see what I mean? And I'm looking for expressions and words that are more open. Okay. Because I don't want to limit and put somebody in one box. Storyteller is a nice word, nice expression that fits you. But, you know, it's a thing about it because everybody has a story, but not everybody can tell a story. Yeah. And there's a fine line between storyteller and story keeper. And storyteller is someone who sees, who understands the emotions and conveys these emotions to people. And with you, it's another story also because we can go one step further. And you do this in your work, in your social media, in the movie making. Is this where the secret lies? The ability to tell a story? That's my question.
First of all, it's a very polished thing in every single pub or restaurant or anywhere during a gathering with your friends that there is always going to be someone who's going to say, if I tell you the story of my life, I could make a movie out of it.
Or write a book about it. Yeah.
But you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I do. Like, I will create a story, physically will pick up the camera, and I'll try to create something that's going to give you a storytelling. I could write the book, but I'm dyslexic as fuck. Can I swear? Can I swear?
Of course. Yeah, it's a safe space.
So I could do that, but I won't. There is so many ways of telling the story. But do you know Casey Neistat?
Mm-hmm.
So Casey Neistat is probably one of my biggest inspirations.
Mm-hmm.
And he once said that he could do content creating without camera, if that would be a possibility. And I'm the same. I don't really care about camera lenses and all that stuff. I do care of how the image looks like. So I then have to care what I'm using, which the tools would be the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's what I'm getting at. Like, the storytelling would be something that gives me the pleasure of creating while having the camera. I'm getting caught up with this, but like, this is something that I've been thinking for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I could create the story without it. Like, I could be an actor in a theater, but like you said, you don't want to call me an actor because I can't really call myself an actor. I haven't studied acting, right? But because I've got camera and no one can tell me what to do, I can either be an actor of my own video, or I can use you to be an actor if you have a certain je ne sais quoi that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And I can create a story on you, on myself, on a dog, on a flower.
But that's the ability, because like some people don't have it. And it has to be engaging. It has to be something that people can relate to. And in order to create something that is relatable, you need to have your share of experiences. You need to have your, po polsku powiemy, bagaż doświadczeń. Mm-hmm. To be honest, I don't even know if it's an expression, baggage of experience. But I think I've heard it.
Okay.
But you see what I mean?
Where are you getting to? Are you trying to squeeze out of me that I had to have a life experience in order to do certain things?
That's where I'm going.
Yes. First of all, I've got very feminine side. That helps because that gave me an ability to cry when I was watching Titanic, and lots of alpha males wouldn't. And that femininity gives me a certain way of me being fragile, so I can feel world differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, we in the bus, you and me, and we drive into a certain destination, and you just sitting in the bus thinking, I'm sitting in the bus, I need to go from A to B. And I'm thinking, wow, that window looks vintage. That could look great in Quentin Tarantino movie. And if I tell you that, you would think, mate, you're stupid. Like I'm watching, loads of men. I could never be friends with men because most of the guys, lads, would be watching football, playing Xbox and playing football. And I love playing games and footballs and playing football.
But it's a very straight way of looking at things.
Yes,
right? You don't have this open horizon and
yes.
open
So
mind.
imagine like I'm coming from really rough neighborhoods in Poland when I was younger. So I kind of had to be a little bit of an alpha male, meaning like I had my fair share of fights when I was younger. But I could never tell my boys that I'm looking at the tree and I'm getting caught up with the wind on the tree. Do you know what I mean? Like because someone would call me names, but for me, that name wouldn't be justification of what I actually feel or who I am. Because I'll be like, okay, you want to have a fight, you just call me a name. So I would be on another side. I could be the little alpha guy that can still fight with a friend when we were younger. But on another side, I had something that my friends in my neighborhood didn't feel.
Which now you can say is an advantage. Partnerem podcastu jest Tutlo, szkoła angielskiego online, która tak jak ja pomaga przełamywać bariery w mówieniu. Okay, so we had this story of you growing up in this neighborhood, but then at the age of 19 you went to England.
Wow, where did that come from?
You went to England. You moved to England. Totally different environment.
Yeah.
I can relate to also at the age of 19 I moved abroad, but that's what I mean with the baggage of experience, with the share of experience, is that your background back then, I want you to tell us a bit more about it, because I'm sure that it influenced your work and what you do nowadays. So perhaps we can elaborate a bit on your story back in England.
100%. Again, let's not turn it to, I've got such a big story that I could make a movie out of it. But I guess I could, because I was this young boy going to UK in the time when everyone was going to UK. But lots of people were going to UK for work because they had no other life choices. My parents were back then quite minted and they didn't get on. So when I was 18 and they took divorce, they started taking the divorce, I kind of like just felt like a rebel. So I felt like I'm going to punish my parents because I didn't like what's happening over there. You know, I was immature too. So I'm just going to disappear. And I did. I disappeared to UK. But I had such a reality check because I was kind of living in a sheltered space. Even though the neighborhood was rough, my house was always kind of a luxury. So when I went to UK, there was no shelter, meaning a luxury house.
You were alone.
It was just a street.
In a foreign country.
So I'd done what I've done best. So I had scraps here and there with boys and some English people and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess I could sit here with you for another hour and tell you of all the fights that I had and all the other stuff that I had. In the meantime, I even became a fighter. I was fighting K1 in local pubs.
Well, that I didn't know.
But that's what I knew, that I've got a sensitive side of me, because every time when I would draw or win, I would go to my changing room, and where all the other guys would be like, yeah, you won and all that stuff, I would have a cheeky little cry because I was sensitive about how I survived. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just knew that, and obviously I was not the best fighter. I could either draw or barely win. So I like to be the best in everything that I do, or at least feel like I could get there. And fighting wasn't that. I would get injured and all this stuff, and I would just end up being, because I used to be a lifeguard, I would end up being by the swimming pool with a swollen ankle, and I'm like, no one's paying me for this. I do not have any care. No, there is no massage or any other bits that people take care of you when you're a fighter. I'm just getting injured. So what else is there that could make me money and I could do while being happy about? And then I realized that when I was younger, when my parents usually take me, the story's almost finished.
No, go ahead.
When my parents used to take me everywhere, because we used to have a travel agency. So I was traveling across the whole Europe. At some point, my parents were so busy that they said, this summer holiday, you're not going anywhere, but you can choose whatever you want to do in Krakow. I'm from Krakow. And we will pay for it. So my brother chose going to the cafe internet. I don't know, whatever that, that used to, things like that exist. And he was playing games, Counter-Strike and all that. And I chose, there was a Blockbuster And I chose that. I was like, I want to watch all the movies in that for next 2 months. And I literally did. Like within 2 months, I was watching 4 or 5 movies a day, and I watched all of it. So by the time I watched all of it, it was embedded in my brain that every time when I watched a movie or anywhere something, I could recognize Mickey Rourke, but I didn't know his name. I could recognize any other actor, Brad Pitt or whatever, like all the actors. But I could not know his name because I'm dyslexic. So I didn't even care back then. I just recognized faces. And that was going throughout the rest of my life until I realized, I was 26 when I realized what my hobby is. And then, so that journey from watching those movies when I was really young until 26, which is journey of finishing college in Poland, going to UK when I was 18, having all those years until 26, I was just like, okay, so fighting didn't work out for me. Going to the gym isn't really something that you can call it like passion.
Yeah.
Like it's just for meatheads. So I need to find something that I can call myself eloquent. Do you know what I mean? But I don't want to force it. And then that came to place when I realized it was so simple. I love movies. I love everything about movies. I sometimes instead of watching a movie, I would watch podcasts or any other interview with Quentin Tarantino. That would be more interesting about me. So then I picked up the camera and I started doing videos. What I've made the first video. I posted it on Facebook. I had 300 people on Facebook, more my friends and some other random people. But my video had 1,500 views.
And back
for me,
then,
that
it
was
impressive.
madness.
Yeah.
I bought a cheap camera, Canon 5D. I went to Paris. I went to a pub. There was a beautiful half-caste girl, and I said to her, because I was young and handsome, I said to her, "Listen, I'm a big movie maker in UK. How about you spend the next few days with me and we make movie together? We make videos together."
And she agreed.
I completely lied, and yeah, she agreed. And we just had 2 young people, had 3 days of fun. She was from Paris.
Just being a carefree.
Yeah, just being carefree
teenager,
and
whatever,
with the
running with
camera. And after 3 days, I left. I've edited that video.
Did you send it to her eventually?
Yeah, and I've got that video. I still got that video on YouTube. And it's nothing interesting. But for me, it's just like Casey Neistat when he made his first movie. Back then, it was a big thing for me.
You said journeys. We will be talking about the journeys and how to enjoy the whole process of getting to the end goal and where the destination, let's say it. But I do want to still go back to England and get to know what was the biggest challenge you've experienced there that also had the influence on the work? Because when you move abroad, we also very often have this perception like, it's all sugar-coaty, whatever. But at the end of the day, it might be, you might struggle a bit and you might experience cultural shocks. Was there something like this that you've experienced?
No, it was absolutely everything. It was again, I don't want to feel, I don't want to sell a story like I've been a victim of going abroad, but like going abroad for so many years is not for the faint-hearted. You actually feel quite lonely when you get there for many years. For the first 3 years, I was screaming to the pillow so no one can hear me because you can't have a conversation. You just speak simple language, and simple language can get you from give me food to give me drink and do you want to have sex, but can't give you the emotional
you don't have the understanding of
emotional
culture.
connection.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and emotional connection is a huge thing even for the dummies. You still want to talk about life and random things and stuff, and I couldn't. So first of all, that was hard, and second of all, the loneliness.
I can really relate to it too.
Loneliness felt like someone put you in prison, honestly, being in England. So that was the biggest challenge of being abroad. And the biggest challenge from all those two, the third one would be what I said earlier, which having a sensitive side, not knowing what your future is, you just placed yourself somewhere in foreign country and you don't know whatever from waitering, you're going to have this big thing like in the movies that suddenly you're going to be a waiter, be a kind of struggling person, and then suddenly maybe your dream's going to come true.
You're thrown in at the deep end. You're trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
right?
so you just don't know
age.
whatever that happens when in the movies for everybody, or that's going to happen to me, or I'm just going to be forever waiter and going to be miserable at some point. Luckily, there is a power of working hard and resilience.
I tell you my one of my cultural shocks that I haven't shared with anyone, but I lived in the Netherlands, and Dutch people are very straightforward.
Yeah.
It's overgeneralization, obviously, but you can say that they're straightforward. So to date, I remember I was working at this beach club in The Hague, and there was at the end of the shift, we were having drinks, and I asked a group of Dutch people, like my friends, my colleagues from work, hey, do you guys want to like chill out and like just watch the sunset? And they said no, without giving me an explanation.
Black
and
and
then you
white.
could think, okay, do they like, they don't like me or whatnot? But the truth is, they're just like that.
Yeah.
And I started appreciating it later on. But in Poland, it might come across like rude, no?
Yeah.
Here you say, no, but let's organize something later
You just
on,
don't go.
whatever.
You just don't go. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you just don't go? No, you say hi.
Yeah.
You've been thrown in at the deep end. So was I with Netherlands, with Belgium. And I also worked as a waiter.
Look at you now.
I also worked as a waiter, but I also worked at the salad factory.
Salads.
Not the chain restaurant, but the actual factory.
Yeah, making salads.
Yeah. No. It was way worse. It was a factory where they were producing salads.
Okay.
And I was very desperate for money back then. It was like 2020, just before COVID started. And have you watched Shrek?
Yeah, of course.
You remember the factory shot when they were wearing like this like white uniforms?
Sure.
That was me at the age of 19 with a hose, with a water, just washing the machines because the factory was producing the machines. I was washing them. Obviously, I quit the night after. It was a night shift. It was horrible. But what I'm trying to say is that these experiences, also your experiences, they teach you who you are, but also who you don't want to become.
Yeah.
And living abroad is a whole nother level. I want to get...
I don't think people understand.
Right? They need to
People
really...
feel like they can go and just be. Like they watch the Emily in Paris and they can do that. It doesn't happen.
And then...
Unless you're from the rich family, they put you in an apartment that they pay for 6 months. An apartment is right in the central. And you've been studying in a private school, so you know French people here and there and Spanish people here and there. And you've got a small circle of minted people. And they've got a Illuminati, let's say, of just elite rich people. Then you can have all that. But if you have a normal person, if I want to be a big movie star in LA and just move, then I'll just end up being by the beach and being like, not knowing where to go. And first cycle is going to be like, hey, you want to do drugs with me? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not sunshine and rainbows. That's what I think.
Is the resilience also and working hard towards that goal, which we will be talking about. If we're still in England, I still want to touch upon the topic of English, the language, since it's also educational program. Let's touch upon that. What is the best way to learn a language for you? Is it actually being thrown in and figuring out your way and talking to native speakers and trying to find a way around it?
When I was in college in Poland, I had English, and my teacher told me because I'm a dummy, I would never learn that language. And I then, many years later, went to UK, and I actually was not around Polish person. I was just strictly around English person. Hence that depression, hence that hardships of screaming to the pillow, because once you have the moment where you actually want to talk to someone in Polish, there is no one around. Actually, if you can survive those first few years and just be on the deepest water,
then you're fine later on.
if you really want, that's the quickest way of learning actual English, because English in school is not the same as English in England.
Oh, yeah.
It's like when you've got slang in Polish, and I'm not talking about the slang in neighborhoods. I'm talking about the slang, even the posh ladies got slang. They've got certain things that they say and stuff like that. So even if you would learn English in England, in Poland in the next few years in college, and you have the correct English, you've got a reality check when you go to live life in England.
I still want to get back to the journey. Let's now touch upon that. Because life is a journey.
Yeah.
But it's never that simple. You never get from point A to point B.
No.
There is always turns and twists along the way. And personally, I am unable to enjoy the process. I'm working on it.
You don't like the process?
I'm struggling with it. Yeah. I'm starting to like it, but I didn't like it in the beginning. I want to know, how is it with you? But I'm aware of it, which I think is fine. I mean, I'll be talking to a therapist about it, obviously, for sure. But you see what I mean? There is this perception, I think, in society that you have this end goal, the destination, and you want to get there. So you stop enjoying the process. And I want to know, how is it with you? How has it been with you? Can we enjoy the process and think of destination at the same time? Or is it mutually exclusive?
So when I was doing the process, back then in my times, there was no such a thing as social media telling and some inspirational talker telling you that you have to love the process. You just didn't know what you're doing. You kind of knew that you go in somewhere. Like I said to you, when I was a waiter, I didn't know whether I'm actually going to make it or not, whether that actually happens in the movies or not. But I had stupid resilience again. Maybe I was just super stubborn. Maybe I wanted to prove something to my father. I don't know. Like there's lots of bits, there's lots of factors. And I think it's different for different human beings. So I feel like I love the process because I love being almost beaten to death and being at my lowest. Because when I'm at my lowest back then, when I was really young, and obviously I hated it, and I thought I cried many times when I was back again in England, screamed to the pillow and stuff like that. But at some point you get into some sort of a Stockholm syndrome that you've been beaten so many times and you just not, you can't see the light in the tunnel. You're just gonna have to either do something stupid or either you're gonna like the reality you're living in and you're just gonna embrace it. And because I had a positive nature, not depressive nature, I kind of learned to smile even against the wind. And there is this movie, Old Boy. You remember that Korean one? I think the Korean one. There is this. He's been kidnapped. He didn't even like understand why he was in the room for so many years, and then he was at some point just blank face. He was dead inside, but he suddenly just watched somewhere the movie that you have to be positive and just smile. And he was just he was convincing his muscle memory to smile, so he was smiling like stupid and like a psycho. But eventually, he found that happiness by forcing positivity. So I watched that movie, and because no one could give me an advice, I thought, well, that sounds like a great idea. I'm going to do just that instead of being everyday miserable that I'm a waiter or whatever. I'm doing things that I don't like. I'm just going to everyday smile, and maybe the muscle memory is just going to stay there.
And perhaps also trust the destiny and see where it gets you.
I guess trust the process as well. I didn't really trust the process because I didn't understand the process. I just had a huge dream that I want to be someone, but I didn't have an idea how I'm going to get there. Like, honestly, even if you want to have the motivational speech how I got to where I am, I have no fucking idea, mate. Like, I got to the place I am, which for some people, I had this many times when I was on podcasts. Like, I've got micro-influencing. You got to understand. So people who watch me, my 60, 70,000 followers, they know everything about me for the last 6, 7, 10 years. When I go on podcasts, when people watch you, I'm not like a famous person all over the Poland. So most of the people are going to be, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he trying to throw his wisdom? Do you know what I mean? But for what I've achieved that's enough for me. And I fought for it really hard, but I still don't know how I got here. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Just by working hard and resilience, at some point, life just gave me, okay, you've been doing it for so long, you didn't give up. We've been beating you to the ground so many times. But here you go, this is your prize. You have the video making.
Earn it.
You have the video making. That happened one day. And there was a few podcasts when I said that. I don't know how young are the people that watch you. But do you know Stanley Kubrick? So I used to was a security guard for his wife's house every year, once a year for the festival that she had, and I done it for 3 years in a row. The story's almost over. I don't want to overextend it.
Go ahead. We have time.
And after third year, she walked out in her garden when I was there, like I was being security guard in her garden. She came out and she was really nice to me. She recognized me and she had vague conversation with me, and then she asked me, what do you want to do in your life? And I was like, I want to be a big movie maker. I said that to a wife of the most famous movie director, which was just stupid. But anyway, a year later, they called me and they said, do you still want to work this year? And I was like, of course, thinking I'm going to be a security guard. And they said, no, this time Christian Kubrick asked whether you can take a camera and fly with her to a castle in France that she has, and you're going to make a documentary about her life, which turned out not being a real documentary.
But
she wanted to give me a chance, and I grabbed the camera, I've signed the contract, meaning that the footage that I've recorded is maybe going to be used in the documentaries, maybe in future.
But you grabbed the opportunity.
I grabbed the opportunity.
Went with it. I see, that's where I was getting at, is this resilience and not sitting and not doing anything, but just actually taking life as it is and just doing something about it.
Yeah.
And also trusting the destiny. And I know, I think I don't have that positive thinking as you do. It's something that differs. I mean, I don't know you. It's just we've talked off camera. It's like 30 minutes. But I wanted to show you something. It's something that I'm going to be also posting. It's the first tattoo that I got. It's the stick on a wave.
That's cute.
And sticks never drown, you see.
Okay.
They always float. Whether there is quiet ocean or tsunami. I mean, if it comes a tsunami, it's going to be destroyed. But life has ups and downs. It's the waves. And the stick is a human being. So that's also my reminder. And it's something that I'm trying to understand. What you said. It's very inspirational for me because I'm not there yet.
So for me, because I was beaten to the ground so many times, I've got a huge cross on my back, and people think I'm religious. Whether I'm religious or not, that's my concern. But the cross actually on the back is the heavy life that I had, and I had the burden of it before I got to my success. So when I was in the lowest, I've tattooed my back, the whole back of having a cross, just to remind myself that I can just still pick that cross up and still go.
If I go slow, that brings more value.
Okay.
A quote of yours from one of the interviews. Inspiring quote because it demolishes expectations from a society. Yeah. There is this perception that we should chase, we should move faster, achieve something in less amount of time. How do you think slowing down can be more valuable? Because that
comes to procrastination, really.
That comes from procrastination.
Because people say procrastination is a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing at all.
It's not a bad thing, and I will explain why. In the most simple language, so I don't have to go too deep to it, because I think it's that simple. When you work your ass off for 3 months in whatever you do, and you give 110%, and at the end of 3 months, you haven't really achieved anything because you think you haven't, but you've learned something. But anyway, you're at the end of 3 months, and then some other fresher comes in. He's super fresh, and he goes to you, "Why are you so tired? You have to grind." But you don't know that this is his first day, and this is your last of 3 months. So I've learned that over the years, that sometimes when I was at the peak of my tiredness, some person would come over and try to give me a lecture that I should be more positive and more energetic. And I'm like, "No, man, you don't know. You haven't been in my shoes for the last 3 months." And then I got, "Oh, stop feeling sorry for yourself," and all that. But if you really know yourself, that you gave 110%, you do have to slow down, because your body physically will tell you at some point, "Oh no, mate, you're going to shut down for a second." If you don't want that to happen, you give yourself procrastination. Whatever that means you're laying in your bed and just throwing the ball to the ceiling and back, or you
doing things last minute,
or you dropping everything and doing something last minute, like traveling, and you sitting by the beach by yourself and doing absolutely nothing, or you want to feel like James Bond and drinking tequila with pretty women by the beach. Whatever floats your boat, you do that. You do you, boo, but you have to give yourself time to heal, so you can go and be a bad bitch again.
And let's delve deeper. I want to go a bit deeper. So the procrastination itself is not a bad thing. Being a lazy bastard, sometimes it's not a bad thing. I call myself like that. I mean, you know it pretty well that I prepared those questions 2 hours before we met, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. For me, this is not lack of professionalism.
But do you give 100% when you do this thing?
100%.
You obviously do. I can tell that you're talking to me and you're giving yourself 100%. Like, you're very attentive, right? Yeah. So that you're not procrastinating right now. If you would be just a lazy guy who's kind of sloppy with this interview, I would recognize that and I would feel disrespected. But you don't do that. And
I also imagine there is days when you don't feel like doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's deadlines to meet. Yeah. Especially like in the case with you, when you have to deliver a movie, content, whatever. Do you procrastinate at the last minute?
So the procrastination is not the main thing in my life. It's a huge thing in my life, but not the main thing. I pride myself of not actually calling myself an artist. Like, I feel like I've achieved quite a lot of work that I have in video industry, because videographers are sloppy, like they proper artists. Sometimes they don't even deliver. I will always be on time. If you tell me next month at 2nd of February we're gonna have a campaign, can you be there? I might not read mood boards, or I might not go through emails or anything, but I will 100% be then. It doesn't matter whether I'm tired, sick, or something else happens. That's my regime. So that's a bit contradictory because that's not procrastination. But my procrastination comes with logistics, meaning these things that I just told you, I'm going to turn up 100%. But then maybe 2 days after the campaign, I will procrastinate for 2 days and do absolutely nothing.
Lay in bed.
You call me and there's a new opportunity to do and make money. I'm not going to do it. I don't care. Like, I need to recover because I know the power of being overstimulated.
Smooth transition, because we'll be talking now about social media and being overstimulated. Oh, wow. But I want to still conclude.
Yeah.
What we said, I think it also relates to the fact that there is no one-size-fits-all approach. Meaning, for some people, they can procrastinate, they can do it last minute. For some people, they have to be organized. It's interesting because for me, I see like I can divide it. Like for creative stuff, I do everything last minute.
Yeah.
But I'm super organized, as you said, off cameras. Like.
So you've got ADHD.
Yeah.
Because I've got the same. So basically, what you do, you will 100% do everything last minute. But you, in the meantime, you kind of set your brain on this. So during the week, you actually don't do anything about it, but you are thinking about it. So you kind of prepared, but not. And ADHD people are very good of doing everything last minute because they are been doing it all their lives. So it's not an unknown territory to just jump in last minute to it. Like you've told me roughly what we might talk about. Because I've got my private life at the moment that it's a bit hectic, I didn't really listen to it. But because I trust the process of my ADHD, I knew I'm going to turn up here, everything might be fine.
But then what I was also getting at is that those creative stuff I do last minute, but then like my room, I would clean it and like do everything.
That's because you're pedantic.
We can't fancy it. Listen.
Like what you've done with my cup earlier, this just proves the point.
You know
that
what? We're gonna put
you
it.
couldn't even think of what I'm saying to you because the cup wasn't placed in different positions.
We live in times where we consume a lot of social media.
Yeah.
And you are content creators, so you are very much aware of that. But I think it's sort of a trap also that when we watch content on social media, we think there is only one way to achieve a success or to get to this point. I'm sort of trying to connect the dots and go back to what we said about point A to point B, getting from point A to point B. Since social media is your work environment, how do you think social media affects the way we view success? I think it's an interesting question, and I want to delve into that.
It just depends of the human brain and the maturity of your brain, how you see success. Because immature people, let's not call it young, but just let's call it immature, because you can be stupid in any kind of age. You will see certain things that's happening on social media. I don't know, like flashy stuff, flashy cars and splashing money and stuff like that. And you think, oh, wow, this guy's rich, I can do the same. But you don't know whether that's fake money or not. You just assumed. So you're trying to do the same and it just is not working and you end up even being in prison or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like giving you that stupid example. If you're mature enough and you know slight things about life here and there, you kind of know that everything that you watch is not real. So when you see stuff on Instagram, just use your common sense. And I use my common sense quite a lot. Plus, over the years and all the rich and famous people that I've met and I've worked with, I've learned that lots of stories are just being made up. Majority of stories that we hear, 70%, I'm making that number up, so it feels like there is a lot. But majority of stories that I've came from nothing and now I've got this big business is absolutely not true.
It's bullshit.
It's bullshit. Along the line, I found out that this guy had a rich father. Along the line, I found out that this guy comes from heritage.
It's the narrative that they put and they try and...
It's easier because there is more people that are struggling than more elite, right? So in order to have a huge brand right now, you have to speak the language of normal people. So you can't just be this elite posh guy saying, oh, I just opened Gymshark and you buy my stuff. You have to make the fucking story that you've been struggling. But I know the guy from Gymshark, his father's minted.
So it's not authentic.
I'm not saying that he's not authentic. I'm just saying he's a marketing master.
That's it, right? Because some people just might
I don't
view
call
it
it.
as a
I don't
business.
call it lie.
and
If
then,
you
yeah.
if you bought this and millions of people bought into that story,
Which is fine,
and you're
and
trying to
good for
recreate
you.
it, and you're failing because you don't have as much money, then I think you didn't use your common sense. Because when this youngster had several businesses and he failed on those businesses, just think common sense. If you fail on one business, if you're poor, you can't just open another one because you don't have money. Why did he open so many businesses? Someone must have helped him financially.
Yeah.
Use your common sense.
I equate social media with storytelling, and I think it fits pretty well what we also discussed before. But story can be told in a good way or in a bad way.
Yeah.
And it also can be real. You see, you said real, unreal, but it can also be real, but good and bad.
Yeah.
It can still be real, even though it's bad. The barrier didn't make any sense what I just said.
In a weird way, it did.
I think it did make sense.
I'm gonna have to play that again to actually understand. But
Anyways, the barrier to enter social media is
Yeah.
minimal. Everybody can create content nowadays.
yeah, right now everybody can do that.
But with that comes a lot of responsibility. How do you think the power of social media shapes the story we tell? This question makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be as messy in the answer as you.
Go ahead.
I feel like it's a good thing that all the famous actors got a huge competition in social media, and anyone can be famous because there's a lot of dreamers that wanted to be an actors, and there was this closed circle that you wouldn't be able to. So on another side, for huge dreamers and hard workers, you have a platform to actually show yourself and work hard to achieve it. But that comes with a huge, massive competition right now. When I started social media, I was there was only a certain amount of videographers that you knew, and you just loved those videographers. Now, right now, everyone's a videographer with an iPhone, whatever. Absolutely everyone. I don't want to change the subject, but whether that slows my business or not, it doesn't. Like, it actually doesn't. So that's crazy. Like, I thought more people with an iPhones, I'm gonna have less work. Not a case. So I love the time that we're in right now for two reasons. There's a lot of dummies on the internet, so it's amusing to watch them. And there is a lot of creative people that I'm amazed how creative you can be. And I've got loads saved of the people that are people that could bring something valuable to the world, meaning great image and whatnot. I don't know whether you know TikTok initially been a platform to I think somewhere in maybe Korea or China. I don't want to make that up. China. It was a platform for educational only, and they've realized that a bit more silly kids, they were using it for other stuff, naughty stuff and silly stuff, and they were like thinking, oh, let's throw that in America and just abuse most of the people so they get brainwashed. That's what I think that happened. It's a huge platform to control people, right?
Yeah, about this, because there is a lot of power that resides
Yeah.
in social media. And we as content creators have this power.
Yeah.
Because we influence people. But we can also influence them badly. Badly?
You got to be like a Spider-Man with the huge power comes huge responsibility, my friends.
Look, you said about market being competitive, which I totally agree. But how do people stand out in an environment where everyone is shouting to be heard? Can you still stand out?
I don't know, mate. Like, I don't have millions of followers. I've got my micro-influencing, and I love my micro-influencing. I have people that follow me for last, like I said, 6 or 10 years. If you go on my Insta story right now, with my 70,000 following, I've got 30,000 people every day on my Insta story. You find me another person who's got 50% of a traction every day. I don't really care of being super famous. If I become super famous, so be it. But I know, especially in Poland, if you're super famous, you most likely either go to prison or you have some sort of weird shit going on around you, social media-wise, some sort of controversies. I like making videos. I like creating content, and I like bringing positivity to people's life.
I think I want to answer that question for you, because I have my own viewpoint as also a person who's watching your content. Authenticity and showing your true self in a way. Sometimes even a vulnerable side. And I want to touch upon the topic of this vulnerability because we as human beings go through ups and downs. and you being a male creator, perhaps you can elaborate on this, on male male content creators and showing their true self, because I still think it's sort of problematic in a way that stuff are not being talked about. Obviously, when I'm watching your content, I'm experiencing the whole array of emotions, it's like a roller coaster, which I like because I can relate.
Yeah.
But I know maybe like 2 or 3 other creators who show the authentic side. Why is it the case that men still don't show their vulnerable side?
I have no idea.
Do you agree with that, perhaps?
I agree completely, but I have no idea. And to be fair, less of them, more of me. And I'm saying that in the best way possible. Like if you're really that caught up of being an alpha male and you wanna be you against the world, if you want to be that stubborn and not open-minded, do it. But I don't recommend it. I'm not saying be open to absolutely everything what's happening on social media and sexuality and everything else. Have your own opinion and have your own say, but you can still be a man and be vulnerable. And I'm not saying you go and be so obvious and cry about your breakup or cry about losing money or whatever. I don't do it that way. I do it reading between the lines. So I tell stories on Insta story. I will speak about something that if you don't watch me or don't follow me, you kind of don't know what I'm talking about. But if you watch me, you know that I'm talking about sunshine and rainbows. But really, in between the line, I'm talking about the stuff that happened a week ago. So you might make assumptions. So then I make people think. So I attract smart people.
Storytelling.
That's
what it is.
So I don't go really obvious. So that I will recommend people, especially men, to be sensitive. In their own possible way. I found my way, meaning what I just said. I'm not really a crier, but also you would find a video of me having tears. But then you just don't know whether I've just been acting. Because I don't go, look at me, feel sorry for me because I just been crying and look at me like I've been going through the tough shit. You would see the video of me tearing up and I would go and post saying, how'd you like my acting? So people then who follow me know, okay, I know this guy for too long.
And he's acting.
I don't know whether he's acting or not, but if he's not acting, he's struggling. And I like that. And I like not playing on people's emotions, but I like sharing very strong feelings with people because I personally love Quentin Tarantino movies. And that guy shakes me every time when I watch any movie. And when it comes to violence and a long conversation before everything goes. And so I like that. I like when people show emotions.
Because it's something that they can relate to also.
Let's say...
So from a marketing point of view, let's say
you.
Honest, right?
Let's say you.
Yeah.
If we have the vague conversation for 1 hour right now, and you would just give me a social media motivational speech because you think that's how the podcast should be done and it's very blunt and plain, I'll do it with you out of being polite, but I'll think, what a shallow podcast. But if I know that you're investing and you're actually looking in my eyes and you're actually prepared and you actually want to squeeze something out of me and have a conversation, I know there is depth in you and I respect you more because you are sensitive and vulnerable. You look like a sensitive guy.
Definitely.
But you also could look like you like rugby. And I like that. I like the balance of being a man who can still be kind of tough. Not the toughest. We're not fighters.
I'm definitely not one of them.
No, but kind of tough. You know, like you can kind of be resilient. You can run for extra mile. But like also go to the cinema by yourself. And
oh, I love that. Restaurants. I mean, solo dates. That's my thing. I do want to still touch upon the topic. I want to add something from me. Is that you said being a man, just like be a man. I get that, but I also think society puts this pressure that you should just handle all those struggles. You see what I mean? So for me, it's more like changing the way we think in general of men, that they can be vulnerable, that they can be sensitive, and perhaps that could help them. I'm not looking here for like answers.
No.
But I'm trying to open the floor to talk about it because it's problematic. Because then there's a higher percentage of men who have depression that's not being talked about.
You know why? I think because men in general, they're very extreme in going different ways, different directions. So it's either this or either that. So men either want to be like, no, I don't want to be associate with anything to do with the social media and how open sexuality is and genders and all this. I don't want that. I'm a pure alpha male. I want to stay being that. That, my friend, it's a long gone dinosaur.
Not the way to go.
It's a long gone dinosaur. But if you also are kind of lost in your in being a man and you listen to everything that they're trying to do to a man these days, let's be honest, they kind of trying to cut our balls slightly. And that's also not good. But you can find a happy medium right now. We in the very good times when we still we are not in the reality completely where the male population are completely gone. We still can be males. It's difficult sometimes because we can't be strong language, because we're heavier. So it looks like if you say something as a man and you big guy, it can come across as more aggressive, but that's not correct.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. Like you can find happy medium if you're a man.
So, wrapping up this theme, I told you I don't want us to give a list of things that we could do.
Yeah.
It's more about opening the floor because it matters. It matters for representation. It matters. It's our duty. I also feel like as males, as male creators. I also call myself a creator, so it's sort of my duty to talk about it. Hypothetically, what can be done?
What can be done about? What can be done about what?
I'm telling you not to come up with rules, and then I'm asking you a question. What can be done? Because I'm eager. I want to know
what can be done about what? About being more surviving as a male in society that we're in.
Yeah. Changing the narrative, right?
I tell you what. At the beginning, very many years ago, it was all about men in the movies smoking cigarettes, and women are just being somewhere there, right? Now. Then we went through women power. Then we going right now through genders power. Loads of genders and loads of other things going on. And it's such a fucking mix up that I feel like nothing really can be done. You just have to be doing you. So let's say if you're a man and you decide to be a model and you want to be a male model of being an alpha male, you go and have your photo shoot when you look in like Johnny Depp or any other sex symbol from 60s, 80s, whatever, because no one can stop you from doing that.
Yeah.
Any other genders can do whatever they want in their own societies and stuff like that. You don't always have to blend. You don't always have to mix. You can still do that. And if we achieve that, level of anyone can do in their own space what they want to do, you want to be a male, alpha male with smoking cigarettes, but you're not harming this society. That society does whatever they want, but they're not harming that society. Then pretty much we're not only talking about men, we're talking about all of the society. They can do whatever they want. So that would be that, I guess.
Yeah. It's interesting what you said, because on one hand, it's like being accepting towards everybody, but then at the same time focusing on you. You see what I mean? So I see this contrast a little bit. I feel like we live in a society where nowadays we're open to so many things, as you said, genders, whatever. But at the end of the day, there is more critique and more opinions thrown at you than before.
100%.
So it's like
100%. So
going separate ways, sort of, in a way.
So you don't really have to victimize yourself as a man that this is the times right now are, trying to make male population vanish. You don't really have to make that assumption. Like, it is what it is right now. Everyone's not struggling, but everyone's going through loads and loads of different emotions. There is a lot of different genders right now, like I said before, and everyone's got their own. If you go to a gender-specific podcast, you will see their struggles. So I don't feel like specifically men are going through such a big struggle. We just got more competition. It was all about men back in the days.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like I've been treated badly on social media as a male. I feel like there is more. I have to be more cautious of things I say. And if I want to say random shit, I have to put in my Instagram, I'm a comedian,
explanation,
in order to be understood that I'm saying things.
Yeah.
Back in the days, I could just say things and it would be like, he's a guy. Now you can't really say that. But that's educational. You don't want to be stuck in 60s and 80s. You can cherish 60s and 80s and take inspiration from them when it comes to pictures, videos, whatever. But come on, we're growing. There's new time. The new time's coming, man.
Yeah, and we need to adapt to that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll lag behind. Magic, professional life. I want to touch upon that. Camera is your best friend, is your ally.
Yeah.
What is the feeling that camera gives you?
Yeah.
What is it? I want to know.
Oh my God, man.
Probably loads, huh?
It's a mixture of
a whole
feelings.
mixture of
I
everything,
have been heartbroken. I've been the most happy. I had the best time and the worst time. And I had responsibilities and I've been carefree. I've been absolutely whole spectrum of everything that camera gives me. But majority of the word that I'm looking for is I feel fulfilled. Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
Like the camera gave me everything. The camera gave me even, I feel more handsome because of the camera sometimes. I feel more confident because of the camera. Mate, when I'm in the club, and then it's the most luxury club in London, and I'm holding camera with and shooting loads of beautiful people, and they come up to talk to me when I've got a camera. Oh, mate, I can talk and I can be confident. You tell me to drop the camera and go socialize in the same place, I would sit in the corner not saying anything.
When you're behind the camera, do you feel like you're in charge of the narrative at all times? Or is it sometimes like the narrative just plays by its own? I want to know what it's the process like. You see what I mean? Is everything like here and I'm just gonna put my work and I already see the result? Or is it like sometimes what I'm trying to get at?
I know what you mean.
Okay.
But that happens in corporate life. If you make a video for a fashion industry, they want the certain look. You have to have that knowledge. If you're
I'm not talking about that. It's more.
If you're not talking about that, but
Yeah.
I had to say that, so it's not
Go
like
ahead.
just
Sorry
one
to
way.
interrupt. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. It's absolutely fine, my friend. You interrupt me however you want. I tell you what, I like romantic way of making movies, meaning I love, let's say, how good movie directors find a people with a certain je ne sais quoi, meaning that I will have a certain idea. I will tell you what to do in front of the camera, but I will let you just do you. And if that's amazing and I'm falling in love with it, I will forget about my version of it because you just created something amazing. And that's what camera is for. You don't want to be boxing people in certain way that you want things to be done because you're not evolving. If you let people do crazy stuff in front of the camera that you wouldn't think or show a certain emotion on with facial expression, there's a bigger chance that if you're going to let them run through it, you're going to find something better than what the expectation that you had. And that happened to me more often than any other stuff. I would, at the beginning, it's almost like a warm-up session. Every time when I start shooting something that is more passion, I would just at the beginning tell people what to do exactly. And then after that, I would end up seeing the footage. And actually what I said to them to do, I didn't choose. I chose what they've done in the third or the fourth take. And I was like, actually, my version was not that good.
Because the stories, they evolve, like not the stories, but the stories, they unfold by themselves because you have people and different emotions that come into play. Emotions, we're both emotional and vulnerable and sensitive guys. I want to touch upon that because I'm a huge fan of candid photos.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can say candid videos, if it's like a thing, but you see what I mean. It's like,
I don't know, but you say it. Say it like you mean it.
Candid videos,
Yes.
so not stage video, because for some people who might not know, it's like it's actually an expression. Spontaneous, not stage videos.
Yeah.
How do you capture emotions? I'm aware it depends on the situation.
No. But
background.
spontaneous videos are the best when you work with a whole spectrum of non-actors. Actor, professional actor, like Brad Pitt or whatever, you name it. You can tell him what to do. One take, he'll do it. And you go, oh my God, like this is exactly what I wanted.
It's a job, they have to deliver. So
and if they fucking good at it, so they're gonna deliver. And you're gonna be surprised that they can. But with majority of people, which is what I call budget versus reality, which is hundreds of people will text you, oh mate, can we do this video? And they show me whole Titanic, but they've got £400 and can we do do you know what I mean? You have to go and run around the town and capture loads and loads of footage because from 20 gigabytes of footage, you're going to have to find the snippets of the real emotion. And that's the power of post-production.
So is it then, if it's not actors, strangers, friends from your experience? Because I also know you travel with
All
friends,
all
and
spectrum.
then you all
I love
spectrum.
strangers.
There's something about it, huh?
Yeah, you
Like
know why?
magnetic.
Because when you, even if you're an experienced videographer, if you go with friends, they associate you with as a friend. So suddenly when you go, okay, let's actually do the video, they'll be like, oh, Magic, come on, like, what are we doing? Do you want me to cry, really? Do you know what I mean? Like, but strangers can be the most open people. They'll be like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? Like, you go crazy. Like, I always wanted to be an actor. I can cry. I'm in somewhere in the middle of Thailand. You're talking about the model, male model or female model. She says about stuff, and she always wanted to do acting or whatever. And then you kind of like, oh, I've got a camera. Let's go on the street and you pretend to cry. Let's see what happens. And actually, Quentin Tarantino took most of his actors were actors who were at the point of losing their fame in Hollywood, and he would grab those people and give them the fresh side of it. He would show them in different light. So it's not that they never been a good actor. It's that they didn't. Those people wasn't in the right hands of the right person, of the right madman.
Yeah, that's the thing. But now I'm trying to process it, because I sort of see a big comparison that I haven't thought about yet. That's sort of what I'm doing. I'm having a stranger, in a way. I mean, I don't know you.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of my guests, and we're doing it. We're improvising.
Oh,
I mean,
100%. Plus,
but you see let me just finish it. What I'm trying to get is that I learn the most.
Yeah.
And I think this also applies to you. I'm answering question for you, but I'm gonna ask it again so you can say, but is it a place where you learn the most? When you have an actor, you know how it's gonna be. When there's strangers, there is this unknown, uncharted territory, unexplored. Isn't that the beauty of creative work in itself?
100% it's a beauty. 100%. But also your platform is great to feed people with bipolar. You just don't know, because you're inviting people that they are good talkers, or they got certain things on Instagram, but you really don't know whatever they just acting. You don't know whatever I'm putting an act of being an eloquent and having all this to say, but really I'm just a psycho, or whoever comes to you. You just don't know. But that's also an interesting fact, because let's say with Casey Neistat, when I saw him first and I saw his video, I would spend a year and a half of religiously watching everything that's on his YouTube, and I would pick up on every single move of his finger, facial expressions. I would try to find something. Like, let's say Gary Vaynerchuk, you remember?
No.
Okay, Gary Vaynerchuk, back in the days, huge motivational talker. I was watching him, absolutely in love with everything that he said, but after a few months, I realized that he's kind of acting. He's kind of a a fraud.
Yeah.
For me, not really, but like for me, like I didn't buy that. It was just being generic.
Yeah.
And I like that about discovering strangers.
It's the unknown, as I said.
Yeah.
And like
100% after I watch my own podcast and narcissistically watch myself, how beautiful and amazing I could be or not. And people are going to be like, people are going to say, who the fuck is that guy?
And
I will watch your Instagram because I'm in the middle right now of exploring who you are.
also, I've learned a lesson today not to invite probably actors, although I do think we're all actors in a way.
You got to invite actors too.
We're all actors, though, don't you think?
Everyone's an actor.
It opens another hole.
Social media has opened the spectrum of everyone who used to want to be an actor. I reckon 90% of people on social media are...
and shine. Be a star
Yeah.
that shines, that doesn't die.
Yeah.
Stars live long,
Yeah.
but then they die and they burst. Partnerem podcastu jest Tutlo, szkoła angielskiego online, która tak jak ja pomaga przełamywać bariery w mówieniu. Look, we're gonna be slowly wrapping up.
Yeah.
I think we touched upon a lot of topics.
I think so too.
But yeah, we did. Did we?
I think we spoke a lot.
I do
I
want to ask you for a piece of advice. I always do that at the end. You can do whatever you want to do with it. It's for the people who watch us, who might be inspired by you. What would you tell them?
Like an inspirational talk.
Do whatever you want to do.
You do you, boo. I don't know, man. I think everything has been said already.
Yeah.
I don't feel like being original and saying anything else. I feel like also having generic stuff like be resilient, that so many people said, there's truth to it. I also feel, I know, you know what? No, I'm going to say that. I am, even though I haven't not made millions of followers of being authentic, I'd rather have my 70,000 followers the way they are right now and be authentic how I am than ever go on the dark side of fame.
And on that note, we're going to be wrapping up. Thanks a lot for coming by.
Thank you for inviting me.
Ciao.